Hey, everybody. Um, Welcome to the April edition of the Chatham Community Library virtual open mic. Brian, I believe you're our first performer up on the docket.
Okay, I'm going to read 3 short pieces from my novel, The Astronomer, which will be published later this year. They're hoping to publish it in November. This is really 3 variations on a theme. The first piece could be called The Edge. Can everybody hear okay?
I can hear you.
The Edge. The edge of the universe is a strange place. For one thing, it doesn't exist. At least not like you or I experience existence. At the edge of the universe, there's no time or space, for those concepts have no meaning where nothing is. The universe is infinite, and being infinite, it has no center. Where then lies the edge that doesn't exist? I must travel then to this edge that doesn't exist. In my spaceship, I must go. And when I reach the place where the edge should be, I find that it is not. I see that the heavens stretch to the horizon and beyond. There's no alternative but to repeat the process, and that is what I do. After what seems an eternity, I find the place where the edge must be. It's a line of apparently limitless extent, separating that which is from that which is not. I fly around it in my spaceship, study it, if you will, from each one of 360 degrees, circumscribing that ray of demarcation, making it the center of its own universe. I rejoice in the success of my quest until I realize what a fool I've been. The edge of the universe? I found nothing of the sort. It was merely a marker for the next expanse. The edge of the universe is as elusive as can be. It's there, I know it, but it's not there today. Nothing I can do but soldier on. The second piece is called Hoges Object. And Hoges Object is an actual astronomical object. Hoges Object. Nothing is more violent than when 2 galaxies collide. One destroys the other, and it's not a pretty sight. Usually the vanquished galaxy is annihilated. Sometimes it's transformed into a galaxy of unusual shape. A donkey, a bird, a goat, and is flung far from its intended path. But the most interesting collision is not even a collision. It occurs when one galaxy passes close to a second and is ripped apart by gravitational forces. The remnants of the first galaxy are captured by the second and form a ring around it. The resulting structure is called a ring galaxy. They are rare cosmological entities. Only a half dozen are known to exist. About 600 million light years away, in the constellation Serpens, lies Hoges Object, a ring of hot blue stars that circles a nucleus of aging yellow stars. This ring galaxy is about 120,000 light years in diameter, slightly larger than our own Milky Way, It formed 2 billion years ago when a young galaxy passed too close to an older one. The former was shredded into what amounts to a smoke ring in the heavens, circling its predator. It will eventually collapse upon the latter, but that won't happen for another billion years. The gap between the blue ring and the yellow core is completely dark. I've spent time there, and it's an experience unlike any other. Above you lies the fading blue light of the ring. Below, the fiery yellow core. You're between heaven and hell. You yearn for the one, but the other fascinates as well. I've made an amazing discovery. In the dark gap of Hoges Object lies a second ring galaxy, a miniature ring. And within the gap of this galaxy lies a third ring galaxy, and within its gap, a fourth, and so on. Each is an order of magnitude smaller than the previous. I hop from galaxy to galaxy for as long as I'm able, until they become smaller than my own self, and I'm reduced to a mere spectator. I watch as they fade into the distance until they become indistinguishable from a point, a mathematician's point. At the end of every event, imagination takes over, and this was no exception. Every point contains within itself a ring galaxy. My mind is an infinitude of points comprising the space that I inhabit. It is a ring galaxy. That's the second piece. The third piece, which is another variation. You like that? Okay, the final piece is called The Room at the End of the World. And this is actually the last page of the novel. The room at the end of the world. There is a door at the end of the hall. You open it and see a second door. You open that and see a third. When you open this door, you're not surprised to see a fourth. You continue stepping inside and opening doors. You do this for a long, long time. At some point in this repetitive process, you realize that each door has been painted a different color. You have no idea why this is so, but you find it interesting. A while later, you realize that not only is each door a different color, but that the colors are following in order the colors of the spectrum. Shades of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, and that each color is more brilliant, more radiant than the one before. It's indeed an interesting phenomenon. It never occurs to you that you might be lost and had better go back, and it's a good thing this doesn't occur to you, for if you were to turn around, you would see there are no doors behind you, that they are dissolving into nothingness the moment you step through them. At last, you reach what you believe must be the final door. It's painted a brilliant white, and it's so bright you must cover your eyes to keep from being blinded as you open the door. You expect to see a stately room, for it's been your experience that all doors lead to rooms, and if one must pass through many doors to reach a room, it must be because it's a very stately room indeed. Or if not a room, perhaps another door, this being a labyrinth into which you have stumbled and from which you will never escape. But you see neither a room nor a door. You see nothing, emptiness, the void. You're at a loss. Taking a deep breath, which you realize may well be your last, you step through the door. Nothing happens. Did you really expect something to happen? Only another door appears, and you step through this one too. Thank you.
I hope you come back next month. I believe our next performer is Mr. Gary Phillips. I see you over there.
Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome.
Very glad to be here.
Likewise. What do you have to share with us?
Well, I brought a few poems that I wrote in 2021. I'm working with a poetry group out of New York City that has been very kind to me, and there's a bunch of people from around the country who are part of it. And I'll just read a few poems from the most recent stuff that I've written. The first poem is called What the Grandmothers Say Before the March. I've been very involved this year in the Black Lives Matter movement, and this is sort of in honor of that. It's also an ABCDarian poem. Each line represents a letter, begins with a letter from the alphabet in descending order. So, a better day, a better way, a better say, better than the old normal, better than carrying our pain like a winter storm, dying to our genius just to keep warm, easing to the grave and be shop worn, filling our babies with their poison corn, go on down to that deep river, baby, hang on to a life that don't mean slavery. I don't believe we're meant to drown, just bend from the body and take your crown. Keep your kin near to heart when you're feeling down and leave room for the ancestors, black and brown. Make love like you mean it, don't demean it, never falter without a hand to hold you up. Open up the cupboard and offer a cup. People like us was meant to sing and sup. Queer we are and fey they name us. Run like the wind or they might blame us. Some people think they're gonna game us. To hell with it, open our mouths and let's all be famous. Unite is the theme of our way in the world. Variegated rainbow dancing girls, white boys too if they know how to whirl, X-rated lovers, movers, and tender vibes. Your mama there now and hanging with the tribe. Zero tolerance for any of that weak ass jive. Ho, let's go. I have a real conflict when my house is invaded with mice because I really love animals and I hate getting rid of mice. And this is my explaining my dilemma. This is called House Mouse. I favor every member of the Rodentia family, arboreal, fossorial, or semi-aquatic. From whistle pigs to capybaras and spring hares, kangaroo rats, mountain beavers, porcupines, the swift agouti with her pine nuts gathered, flying squirrels aloft on their pentagiums, large-eared pikas practicing cartography, intelligent, generally kind to each other, cuddle muffins in a pile. All communists or communalists at least, and they tend the earth lovingly. Beavers are skillful ecosystem engineers. Prairie dogs nurture and maintain their grassland habitats. Ground squirrels form colonies based on female kinship and disperse mushroom spores to support symbiotic relationships that nurture the oldest trees in the world. I say all this, gentle being in my hand, noble member of the Clade of Glires, to let you know that it is with great respect and no small measure of affection, even a glimmer of sorrow, that I am about to carry you as far away as possible from my cupboards, my box of flour, the quilt you constructed such a tender bed inside. Goodbye.
That's great. You have more?
I have two more.
Yay! Yeah, stretch it out. We got time.
So this is a numbers poem, and it's called All My Thousand Loves. We were playing 20 hands of a 5-card draw. It was a foursome with my best friend, my wife, and Jimmy Carter. The prize, 2,300 matchsticks and pennies by the dozen, was just 72 inches away and tingling. We were in the nines all the way, me and Jimmy, cheating under the table and counting up our winnings 20 at a time, fingers and toes worth. Until the talk turned to how many lovers you had. And let me tell you, me and Jimmy had some low numbers, being shy of Southern Baptist boys with strong mothers and growing up in pint-sized towns where every girl's daddy carried 3 or 4 shotguns. Meanwhile, my wife is vaulting past 10 while I'm trying to get beyond my 5 fingers, and my friend is racing forward in his size 13s, enumerating all his 27 rejections and 45 almost loves, when Jimmy smiles and says, well, I have sinned in my heart a time or 3, and I get that, like 100 on a math test. And I jump up and shout, all my loves, over 50, more than 200, probably 1,000. And that was just high school, 1966 to 1972. It was just for fun. This is the last poem I'll read today, and it's called Weatherbound. And it's true. You have to understand, I grew up the knife edge end of subsistence culture. My father prayed for white bread and sheetrock, never had either until adulthood, when he became a mill hand lint head and never regretted it. Clocked 50 years of it. We followed old ways of hunting and foraging, kept beagle dogs for rabbit hunting, gigs for bullfrogs, tackle for bass, catfish, and perch, shotguns for coon and squirrel. Between chores and pleasures, the outside was inside our thin house. I love weather in all of its forms, from sheeting rain come down in the holler to a wave of snow. Lots of it. Or just a dusting brush. I meet the weather with like a companion, speak to it in tones and prayers, bond my spiritual and emotional life to it. Hard rain, desert sear, thunder and lightning above rough seas, bitter cold under a starry quilt of stars. I gave away my guns when I was in my 20s and joined the peace movement. Turned away from that hard scrabble but satisfying life, the perfect academic wife, inside and tamed, hired and named, currying favors and closing my windows at night. Till 10 years on and in full flight, I landed in Wales on a 600-acre sheep farm by the sea. And on a rainy day that somehow distilled me with borrowed wellies and a silly hat, I was set out with some companions, and the pheasant warden placed into my hands like a sacrament, a 19th century Spanish double barrel with silver inlay. And it felt so right. I looked about to see where I was, the rain drilling down into the soft earth and saying, rise, rise again. And a bird burst from the wood, and up my arms went to the sky, and my stock against the shoulder fit. I shot, and the bird plummeted, while my heart beat the staccato of a furious waterfall, and the rain fell and fell and fell. We're all dispersed, but me and gun and gamesman. I stayed the day and helped to put the birds away, hung on tender hooks to cure for next week's meal. I was made to drink a dram and dry my coat and eat a meal. Then I went out again to greet the rain. Thank you for your time very much. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Gary Phillips. Please come back and join us next month or whatever time you want to.
I will. I promise.
We'd love it. Thanks very much. So if you guys have anything else you'd like to read or sing,
I could read something else.
Yeah, I'd love that. Would you?
Sure. Why don't you go first? You want to go first?
Sure. All right. Let's see. This one is one that I have not recorded yet. And it's called The Family Booth. And it goes approximately like this. There's a galaxy of golden freckles at the Formica countertop. And my waitress is remarkably patient. She's just waiting for me to look up. She's gonna have to give me a second. With my menu dug into my brow, syrup and salt shakers, packets of sugar, about all I can handle for now. We used to hang out on the veranda at a tight little table for two. And now I don't mind sitting with my back to the door if it keeps me from watching for you. And I don't know how I mustered the gumption to tell you what felt like the truth. Just a little bit too much table between us when we sat at the family booth. Half a dozen consequences later, and I'm drafting up a pitch for my creator. Now I'm trying to buff out the blemishes from the face of this decorative plate. But the morning's just a little too gone for me to pretend you're just running late. And it don't even get me to lonesome. Draw a line through the day we arranged. I best order myself up some breakfast if I want some. The menu's getting ready to change. All right, that's me.
Okay. So this is also from The Astronomer. Let me give a little background, I guess. The novel's about a young man who's an astronomy professor at Harvard. He's in his late 20s. His career is on the rise when he develops a mental illness, and he comes to believe that he can travel throughout the cosmos, making all manner of discoveries. In fact, those three pieces I read earlier are segments of three of his voyages. This piece is called The Night the Aliens Came. Let me just get set up here. Okay, The Night the Aliens Came. The night the aliens came, I was sitting on my front porch, looking out over the cornfields. I saw the constellation Orion low in the eastern sky, and a fuzzy patch near the middle star in the sword, the Orion Nebula, a stellar nursery. And from the tip of the sword came a blinding flash, a shooting star that streaked across the sky. It seemed so inconsequential. It had happened many times before. How could I have known it was the place from where the aliens came? The next morning, I came across the aliens' spaceship. a bright silver cylindrical craft, but with no distinguishing markings. The aliens had emerged and were looking out over the cornfields. They didn't notice me. Perhaps they considered me too unimportant to notice. After a while, they got into their craft, which rose silently into the air. I returned to the cornfields night after night, and night after night, the aliens came. One windy evening, when the aliens had wandered off, I drummed up the courage to stow away aboard their vessel. The next morning, we rose up and up and up, a pale dot in a clear blue sky. As luck would have it, there was a porthole in my hiding place, and I was able to observe the heavens as we passed by. We passed the outer planets of the solar system, the great gas planet Jupiter, Saturn, the home of sorcerers, Uranus, which lay laughing on its back, and Neptune, that pale blue watery world. For a moment, I thought Pluto might be our final destination. Was I lucky enough to have been spirited away by a civilization from the underworld? But alas, we zoomed by. It seemed that the ship's rate of acceleration only increased. Soon we left the confines of our galaxy, and I found myself in the vastness of space. I felt an emptiness I'd experienced many times before, only this time I spied not a single atom. Was this the place from where the aliens came? And then what I was afraid was about to happen, happened. My mind was here, and it was not here. My thoughts were here, and they were not here. I found myself in a world that flashed in and out of existence, for consciousness itself had begun to fade. When I awoke, I was back on my front porch, looking out over the cornfields. I felt as if I was 100 years old. I thought of Isabella, that's his wife. I thought of Isabella and how it was before she slipped away. She actually just left him. Later that night, as I drifted off to sleep, I remembered how it was when I held her close, clinging to her for dear life, the edge of existence fading, until one day all would be as if it never really was, like that misty, unforgiving space out of which the aliens came. That's the end of that. It might not make a lot of sense, but he really wasn't spirited away by aliens. It's about the time when his mental illness was descending upon him, the night the aliens came. Mm. So I'm picking little bits and pieces from this book and reading them all out of order.
Yeah, it's the Slaughterhouse-Five version of your novel, right? It's
I guess. There's actually a novel called Hopscotch. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, by Cortazar. It's called Hopscotch, and the table of contents is actually a list of numbers. I think it contains like 70 short pieces, and the table of contents is just a list. You can either read them all in order, or you can read the numbers as listed in the table of contents. So it jumps around like 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can, both ways of reading it can turn out to be consistent stories.
Oh,
it's really cool.
Okay. You've piqued my interest. I like books. I like puzzles.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Julio Cortázar. He was French.
Cortázar. All right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Appreciate your flexibility there.
Thank you.
And we got a little bonus reading.
This poem is called Sorrow's Kitchen. Do you think your troubles belong to you? Think again. Do not hold them so protectively to your breast. I see you. Rumi says our sorrows come to us like gifts, pomegranates ready to explode into 1,000 seeds of joy. Don't resist. Ben Robertson's grandmother gathered all the children of her family every Thanksgiving to make a solemn speech from the high wooden porch of her ancient Alabama house. Shrink not from sorrow, for that is the voice of God to thee. I remember sitting with friends in my 20s in Appalachia. Our host was very old and blind besides, Madge. But she knew every inch of her little cabin like a treasured text. We were young and passed around a question to know each other. What's the hardest thing that ever happened to you? Madge hung her head and sighed. When the chestnuts died, she said. They were my best and favorite friends.
Thank you, Gary. Gary, you kind of put me in mind of a song that I haven't played in a while. Wrote this song with David Lamott. And this song is about, we tried to write a song about what it would be like to be the person sitting next to Rosa Parks on the bus.
I like David Lamott a lot.
Yeah. So we missed it, and we ended up writing a song about the person sitting beside the person sitting next to Rosa Parks on the bus. So it goes like this. At least I think it does. It's been a while since I've played this one, but it's called "You May Do That."
You may never even notice what you're doing. You may think until you cannot move at all. You can make your list until you're out of paper. You can roll the window down and let them fall. You may do that. You might think of the right words but never say them. You might let some things be said no one should say. And you might wish you'd said those words you thought of later. And if you get another chance at it someday, you may do that. You may do that. You may think that you were waiting on a hero. Or would you recognize that hero on your bus? And you might think that you can never make a difference. And it might look to you like no one ever does. But you may. You may do that. City transit makes a slow turn around the corner. Sunlight slides across the seat, just squint your eye. Signs say watch your step and keep the aisle clear, son. You keep doing in directions, you'll be fine. And you may do that. Law, you give your seat up now. You know that, right? Make it easy on yourself, you know your place. I got the radio right here and I can bring in the police. She keeps her seat and looks him in the face. says you may do that. You may do that.
It looks like Eric is here.
Hey, Brian.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to be here. Oh, am I on?
It is a little before your time, but
I'll wait.
if
I'm
you
happy
are
to
ready to play, we are ready to hear you.
Sure, I'm ready to play. Been telling everybody about this. This is such a great little, this is such a great thing. Let me see if you can see me or hear me. These big Apple screens now are getting a little crazy. So this is a little tune that I'm working on. It's about Terlingua, which is far west Texas, down at the border, about a mile north of the Rio Grande. It's a ghost town, but it has, my friend Vonnie sent me a photograph of two rainbows in a row, one on top of the other, and wrote this little song about it. Long day on the ridge brings me home dragging slow. The hot afternoon sun bakes the dash as I carry on my last load. Just up the canyon, off to my left, the clouds are dark and full. They're heading this way with a bucket of rain, it's just getting ready to spill. And the rainbows of Terlingua getting ready to appear. They hide behind those thunder clouds, wait until the coast is clear. Can't come out too early, just too fragile to last. When the time is right, they show up, so beautiful at last. Up on the ridge, the clouds are breaking, scattering after the showers. I'm heading into my camp now wet, cisterns a little higher. The sun is back, big and bold, the drops are left glistening below. Dark clouds have moved on, pushed aside for the show. And the rainbows of Terlingua getting ready to appear. They hide behind those thunder clouds, wait until the coast is clear. Can't come out too early, just too fragile to last. When the time is right, they show up, so beautiful at last. Rainbows of Terlingua, oh, guide me safely home. They dance around the cactus when I'm on my own. Rainbows of Terlingua, oh, guide me to my home. They're waiting at the back door, see me safely home. Sun is back, big and bold, the drops you left glistening below. Dark clouds have moved on, pushed aside for the show. And the rainbows of Terlingua getting ready to appear. They hide behind those thunder clouds, wait until the coast is clear. Can't come out too early, just too shattered to pass. When the time is right, they show up, so beautiful at last. When the time is right, they show up, so beautiful at last. When the time is right, they show up, so beautiful at last. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, this is a it's a little tune called. So if you arrive in 15501, you can see there's a lot of houses there with a lot of used cars in the front yard. This is a thing called Redneck Parking Lot, which I thought appropriate for that situation. And this is coming through my little sidekick, so I hope it's not too loud. Got a redneck parking lot in my front yard. It's easy to get to and the work ain't hard. My friends come by, give me their cars. I strip off the parts, I put the car in the yard. I used to have a job, it was lame and sad. I needed the money, it was all I had. One day I walked out, I never looked back. Now I'm working from home, I got my whole life back. I've been pushed back, I've been shot at. Now I've turned it all around. I ain't no slave, the hourly wage, free at last, 'cause I've been saved. Got a redneck parking lot in my front yard. It's easy to get to and the work ain't hard. My friends come by, drop off their cars. I strip off the parts, put the car in the yard. Sure it gets crowded, parts are easy to find. The people come by and see what they can find. Sure it gets crazy, but that's all the fine. To see the neighbors come up, watch them lose their minds. A redneck parking lot in my front yard. It's easy to get to and the work ain't hard. My friends come by, give me their cards. I strip off the parts, I put the car in the yard. I used to have a job, it was lame and sad. I needed the money, it was all I had. One day I walked out, I never looked back. Now I'm working from home, I got my whole life back. I've been shot at, I've been pushed back. Now I've turned it all around. I ain't no slave, the hourly wage, free at last, 'cause I've been saved. Got a redneck parking lot in my front yard. It's easy to get to and the work ain't hard. My friends come by, give me their cars. I strip off the parts, I put the car in the yard. Thank you, my little ode. Thank you, my little ode to the Gary Phillips. Good to see you, brother. Thank you. I see you clapping. Thank you very much. It's kind of an offbeat song, but you know, I'm kind of offbeat myself, so it seems to work out okay. So how am I doing on time there, Mr. West?
You're doing fine.
Okay.
Like that green guitar.
You know, these are great. It's a J Tercer. I found it in Waukegan, Illinois. Or no, I found it in I found it in just below Green Bay in Wisconsin. It's a little town, and had this cheap little guitar. It's a J Tercer. They don't make them anymore, and I've had it for years and wore the fretboard down convincingly. And the neck came apart the other day, and I put it back. And first I had a new neck made for it, right there, $400 for a $65 guitar, only a guitar player. And then the thing cracked a couple of months ago, so I put the top back together with West Marine epoxy. Stayed on like a son of a gun. It hasn't budged at all. So I highly recommend it. And it has a pretty darn good sound. So this is a little, do I want to use this? I do not. Sorry, stand by. Thank you. This is a little tune about, I wanted to do this before. It's a little tune about buying a new car. I made my way to the used car lot. I gotta get a new car. I found a beauty, I drove it home. My new used brand new car. I got it home and I polished it up. I gotta have a cool ride. I got up the very next day, but that car won't drive. No matter what I did, that engine wouldn't turn. Well, I tried, and how I tried, that car won't drive. So I rolled it up the driveway. I threw the key away. But I love that car of mine. I use it every day. I fill it up with postcards of everywhere I've been. I put them there on the dashboard with some tape and some kitchen pins. No matter what I did, that engine wouldn't turn. Well, I tried, and how I tried, but that car won't drive. I'd sit in that car every day. I'd travel the world far and wide. I'd travel the world in that car of mine. That car won't drive. No matter what I did, that engine wouldn't turn. Well, I tried, and how I tried, but that car won't drive. Thank you, Wes. Thank you. Gary, you came back. Thank you very much. I know I'm doing good when you show up. Thank you, appreciate it. Brian, nice to see you. Did you already read? How'd it go?
It was good. I think
Oh,
it was
man,
good.
I'm sure it was. I love your writing style. I'm sorry that I was late.
That's okay.
For some reason, I need money, so I have a lot of guitar students, and now they're all coming back, and school is starting to get in, so they're all showing up. And I've got this one little kid named Colton. He's 10 years old, the most precocious, on top of it kid you'll ever see. He just shows up and he goes, "Hey, Eric, how you doing? What's going on? Here's my guitar. Let's go." And he's 10 years old, and he's really quite good. And we do a lot of Beatles songs. So anyway, that's why I was a little late, and I was sorry I missed everybody. But how am I doing on time, Mr. West?
Eric, I think you got time for one more.
Okay, wow.
You wanna throw
Good
in?
deal. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for this, Wesley.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Gary. I think that's something we should say more often. This is really a wonderful use of taxpayers' money. We got a beautiful library there, and we got Wes, who's kind enough to do this, and just amazing.
That's something I look forward to every month.
I'll be back.
Excellent. Thanks, Gary. I'm glad to hear that.
You gonna stick around, Gary? You gonna play one more for you? You're gonna. His mouth is moving, but I can't hear anything. It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said there, Gary. What?
Better than the other way around. But yes, I think I can stick around for one more. I want to hear another song of yours.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, so we're gonna hear one more from Eric, and I think we're gonna say goodbye for the April virtual open mic, and thank you guys for sticking around.
Oh, am I the tail end of this?
Yeah,
Oh man.
closer, man. You're batting cleanup.
I love it. I've never had that many opening acts. Thank you. So this is a little tune. It's kind of important to me. It's about my constant uncomfortable relationship with the universe and God, or whatever you perceive him to be. And I remember when I was growing up in rural New Jersey, New Brunswick. Actually, it was in Brunswick. Then we moved to a farming village in central New Jersey called Middlebush that had two streets, Front Street and Back Street. And occasionally on a Sunday, you saw a car. There was nobody. And this was at on Winthrop Road. And I remember going into the back, and there's this storm drain. I remember. So I went to St. Peter's Catholic School in downtown New Brunswick. I said, come on, God, I need some wings. Let's fly. Jumped off the thing, broke both arms. And it was painful realization that, whatever it is, it didn't show up at that time. So I always expect it to be, you could be anywhere, and Jesus or God or whatever it is could just appear anywhere and say, Eric, I'll take you out of your misery. Here's $1 million or whatever. Here's a new car, fur coat. Anyway. Oh, what a day I had. What a day. Oh, I had. Saw Jesus in the corner of the grocery store floor. Said, I believe in you. Can you help me get some more? I'm a sinner and a coward, and I'm hollow to the core. I'll believe in you if you show me a sign from the floor. And all my dreams and all my demons fall. Get rid of this disease. Let some happiness fall on me. I took my hand and covered my eyes. I took my hand and covered my ears. I took my hand and covered my eyes, so I don't have to hear those lies. coming out of the back of the room. I was holding on to a track catalog in the gloom. I said, St. Peter, can you tell me what can I do? Save this crazy world. And all my dreams and all my demons fall. Get rid of this disease. Let some happiness fall on me. I took my hand and covered my eyes. I took my hand and covered my eyes. I took my hand and covered my eyes, so I don't have to hear those lies.
Man, thank you, Eric.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Wes. Wonderful to have you doing this. I just can't express how wonderful it is. I mean, it's just great.
Well,
Very few of places like this with such great people and some host who knows what's going on and tries to do it.
do I know what's going on?
And a good songwriter.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Well, thank you anyway. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
That was great.
See you all next time.
Absolutely, Gary. See you next time. Bye, Brian. Bye, Eric.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye, Brian. Bye.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Gary. Rock on.
See you next month. Bye, y'all.